Hey there, Adrienne Elise here. Welcome to the SuperNova Astrology update for June 23rd through 30th, 2025. Well, we had a beautiful lineup, an intense lineup of planets for this solstice on June 20th, and we're heading into the Cancer new moon on June 23rd. So, this last couple of weeks, we've been feeling the intensity of the Jupiter square Saturn, this epic generational square that happens every 20 years, the first quarter square. And the conjunction of these planets happened in 2020. So, this is the final square of these planets in this cycle. And last time these planets came together in square was in January, February of this year, and last June of this year. And those times that they came into square were in the mutable signs of Pisces and Gemini. So now for this third and final square, they are in cardinal signs. They've both moved over. Jupiter has moved over into Cancer, and Saturn has moved over into Aries. So it's very powerful because it's not just Jupiter square Saturn, this epic generational game changer, which is about timeline adjustment. It's about the old king and the new king. It's about getting rid of its regime change, getting rid of the old and bringing in the new. That's what the conjunction is supposed to be about. But forces try to prevent the magic of the conjunction, and that's what gets settled at the square. And so here we are claiming back the magic of this generation. So Jupiter and Saturn have been in square. We're in an exact square from the 15th to the 18th of June, and now Jupiter has been in square to Neptune from the 19th to the 23rd. So Jupiter square Saturn, Jupiter in Cancer, is about expanding into the mother energy, nurturing, love, compassion, birthing and rebirthing, nurturing life, the mother, honoring mother. So it's very powerful for this generational game changer square to happen with Jupiter in Cancer, because it's saying, especially the third and final one, that the game change that has to happen is we've got to come back to that energy in our lives. This has been a pattern we found throughout this evolution, supernova souls, for us in our path, our role as souls. In fact, every single lifetime you've been doing the work of the mother very deliberately, because you were there at the beginning, the original birthing of the conception, the vision of what Mother Earth wanted to become. And this is what is awakening in us with this astrology. It's so beautiful and so powerful. And everything is saying that in order to move forward, we've got to align with her. We've got to come back into listening to the voice of the feminine. So Jupiter is there at the very beginning degrees of Cancer for these squares, 1 degree in square to Saturn, and then at 2 degrees in square to Neptune. So in square to Saturn, Saturn is the laws and rules of our reality. Now, we've been getting the download that Saturn is getting a makeover by moving into Aries, and that we are reimagining not just timeline, but time itself, our relationship to time, our relationship to physical matter and reality. So there's energy coming forward as Jupiter moved into Cancer, it's like this strange energy, because we've got these intensely tense squares, but then we have a combination of beautiful sextiles and a trine we've been feeling over this last week. And with Mercury in Cancer in trine to the north node of the moon, kind of speaking to this whole thing. Our understanding around moving forward has to do, the only way we can move forward is to understand the feminine and allow that feminine, the balance of masculine and feminine, to come back into our lives, into our hearts, and ultimately our mind, right? This is about releasing ourselves from duality thinking, from this us and the other, right? That's kept us in the divide and conquer in our own psyche, with each other and the collective and the consciousness. This agenda to separate our brains from being able to work together, our intuitive and intellectual mind, long-term agenda started by the control infiltrators back in Atlantean time. And so we are now, Yeshua talked about flipping the tables in the temple, but this is actually when it happens. We're at the next shift of ages. So we need to get on with the miracles. That's the energy of this square in Cancer, because Cancer is a cardinal sign. So it's about beginnings. Signs are about starting something new. So we're starting something new. We're in the first sign of the zodiac. Saturn, our time, Neptune, our dream. Saturn and Neptune are almost opposite in a way. Saturn is structure, reality, ramifications, obstructions, and then Neptune's like the great unknown. So unknown that you're manipulated. And so it's so cool to have these planets together for this square, because it's saying that Jupiter expanding into the mother is resetting our timeline to the dream, right? So this square is not about impossibilities, it's about possibilities. And we're rearranging. That's ultimately, in a nutshell, how you could describe this shift in our consciousness and our reality. So the energy of Saturn is very powerful right now, and because it's like the black cube, the control energies, because what happened is that Saturn just represents form and structure, but the forces of infiltration in our evolution sought to use form and structure, the energies of Saturn, to take over Saturn, the black cube, in order to control humanity. And so that's what's being rectified. Now, this is having a domino effect. We've been working so much on the Saturn stuff because Saturn is the last visible planet. But what we found is that there's also gatekeepers. So it has this gatekeeping energy, like you can't go to the unknown. Saturn's like, no, you're stuck in 3D, right? It's the simulation, it's the matrix, it's everything that represents the trap before you break through to a new level of consciousness. So we can't see with our naked eye Uranus and Neptune, but they are affecting us. And what's happened is this domino effect I'm talking about is that as examining our authority contracts that have come forward around the Saturnian energy, which is like maybe the lower dimensional energies that have tried to keep humanity back, the hijacking of humanity. But then Uranus and Neptune also have a gatekeeper energy towards higher wisdom with Uranus and our ability to create and co-create with Neptune. So it's like this whole thing says we expand and align with Mother, we rearrange our whole awakening of time, understanding of time by aligning with the dream, learning how to dream, coming back into co-creation, but her original dream, right? So we don't have to try to figure out what it looks like. And then we can make sure, for sure, 100%, that we're not working out of our own lower ego agenda. That's why we come into alignment with her. And that's what Jupiter is saying. But let's look at the Saturn at 1 degree Aries, which it will be until the middle of August. And Saturn turns retrograde on July 13th. So only making it to 1 degree Aries in this cycle. And so that 1 degree Aries is so important because it's a reset to our timeline. Cardinal sign, new beginning. Aries, the rebirth of a new cycle. And also the early degrees of Aries. 1 degree has the 1. It's like, this is the magic of Aries, is that in the spark of creation, in the moment of conception, all is in a whole, a oneness, right? All is in agreement. This is what's available to us. And it's saying that, her original dream is a playground for consciousness for us, her children. We're a part of her. So we can evolve and grow in our consciousness and become closer and closer to her, right? So we had to separate and we're coming back. So but our Earth was hijacked and turned into a prison planet rather than an evolutionary tool. So we have become the tool in a way, and we need to become the tool. We've been completely taken advantage of like a tool, and yet we are the tool that brings forward the new age. Because what this astrology is saying with Saturn at 1 degree is saying that our new timeline has to have the picture of the whole potential, the I am. Because Aries has the I am, and that seed, that is the spark of creation, the whole created possibility exists. Do you see? So that's the deal with why this square is such a powerful message for us about, yes, really, we're starting a new timeline. No, really, we are. Really, we've gotten to the top of the mountain, but we haven't been able to see our way. And it turns out there's some garbage, refuse, litter. We got to clean up. There's a lot to clean up, but we are going to go down the other side now. And mom says, there's nothing so dirty that can't be cleaned. But don't you think that we cannot tarry longer on waiting to begin the cleanup, right? And that's where we step into it, understanding this message so powerfully that our body is her body. We want to clean up the earth. This is everything. The reason why we're feeling this so much right now is because Mars has just moved in to Virgo. Mars had that long involved retrograde in Leo, back to Cancer, the fallen warrior having to come back to why he fights. And then he into the light, the Leo light shining, being the leader for mother, right? Beautiful. But then coming into Virgo, now he's like, let's get to work, right? Like, let's dig in the dirt. Let's break ground. It is time to improve and create new earth, co-create. So this is coming back to that gatekeeper energy that we were talking about. And this whole revolution of what's happening with Saturn is saying that the physical reality of this world, which had been hijacked, had been working against the light, consciousness, spirituality, evolution, which is also anything that supports that, which is mother. And so now it's going to work for creation again. And then, that's this massive turnaround, the turning of the tables with Saturn. But that's highlighting in this gatekeeper energy of like the domino effect, and it's coming up with Uranus and Neptune, and kind of like, well, are you guys really ready to graduate into the co-creators that you are? Like, can you handle the wisdom and knowledge of who you are? And then can you handle the abilities you have as a co-creator to imagine a new world? And that's why we have to have the ego, beaten out of us, because we have to make sure we're so powerful. And we had to make sure that we're absolutely in every moment using our power in alignment with her, the good, the mother, the original dream, the original timeline, the original vision of what she wants to become. And so as much as we can, just aligning with that. And you might find that you take one little action and there's a huge ripple effect. And that's where we go, okay, wait a minute. All right. So this is where all those lifetimes where I was trying to clear the sphere of my own power. And I thought, no big deal, no big deal. But now one little thing you're doing in this new waveform plasma reality might have a way bigger effect than you realize. And that's why we are at this kind of just before reaching the top of the mountain, before we go down the other side, a last ditch initiation effort, see if we can make sure we know what we're doing, that's what it feels like. And so the solstice was so powerful because on the 20th, we had all these planets lining up we had Mars in exact sextile to Jupiter at 2 degrees. And then also, the Saturn at 1 degree, still at 1 degree, Neptune at 2 degrees, and then Pluto at 3 degrees. So we've got all these 1s, 2s, and 3s. And at the very beginning of the sign, and it's definitely, okay, it's time. Let's go. 3, 2, 1, 1, 2, 3, like whatever way you want to count down, it's a countdown. And then a blast off. Like what are we counting down to? right? But if we're talking about the very beginning of Aries, it's conception. It's conception of the dream. The whole picture of the original dream exists in this moment. Grab hold of it. Because guess what? In her codes, her original vision of what she wanted to become, because she's a playground for ascension, that also has the codes that we've lost touch with, of what you want to become, supernova soul. Like, we don't know who we are. And this is the huge thing. It's like we are landing home like a comet. You have no idea who you are. And you have been operating on a fraction, a percentage of your power, and a fractured personality construct. And now it's like landing home. And I've seen this picture in the beginning when I started to get these downloads about supernova souls. It was like, well, where do we come from? What are we doing here? And how are we so connected in it? So it's like, oh, it's this comet coming to Earth. And it was like this big kind of green comet. And then just dropping us off in a group, you know? So these times and energy. So what happens if you study the generational astrology, which is this Jupiter Saturn story of like how it affects our path through history? There is some sort of gateway portal that happens when a powerful alignment between the slower moving planets, and it kind of creates a little window for these supernova souls to come in, it seems like. And so that little window that you came in the time, the year, or around the year you were born, months, year you were born, it's like that's part of your soul group energy. It doesn't mean that everybody's the same age as you, because there can be these themes that crisscross from these different soul groups, but it has to do with an astrological gateway that was like, and the picture I got was like, we see astrology like, oh, I am a soul, I'm going to get there. I got to get there at this certain astrology. And it's like, Edgar Casey said, no, 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 we're seeing it completely wrong. The Casey reading said that the astrology is actually a map of where we've been already, you know? So it doesn't define our destiny. It tells us our potential and pitfalls. And so working with astrology as a tool like that is so incredibly powerful in these times. And that's why we want to look at the Saturn placement. But so your birth chart is telling you the experiences that you have already had. And that's why it's so powerful in past life indications and what it is you'd like to do in this life. But the energy of this is that there is a gateway created for advanced souls at these astrological moments. And it's like, it's not that there's one soul that belongs exactly at that gateway. It's like, who's going to come at that gateway? Which supernova soul's ready to pop through at that gateway and that aligns? Like, because we're so multifaceted and have gone through so many different experiences. So we really are so connected in this crazy way, like so individual and yet so connected in the path of our story. And so that's happening more and more as this story is crystallizing. We're getting validation. The astrology is 100% confirming our work over many lifetimes, and which is also saying, yes, the time is now. And so let's look at this, because right after the solstice, we started to feel the sun coming into triggering this square of the spark of creation, the conception of new life, of Christ consciousness. So Yeshua was born of a virgin, right? Light conception from in the last shift of ages, but now the Christ body is coming in a group of us. So what does the conception of the Christ body look like? That's this astrology. But it does go on through the rest of this year, because both Saturn and Neptune will move back into Pisces and then move back into Aries and stay close the whole time. So it's like we're reworking, reimagining, going back and forth over this one little sentence of the code, being like, we got to get this part right in order for everything else to fall into place. And that's the conception of the beginning of Aries energy, which says the whole potential is there. The I am, right? So on your spiritual path, when you come into this energy of the I am and you can feel this, that you are part of a greater consciousness, every spiritual path will bring you to this place. And then of course we want to incarnate that. We want to be that. We want to express that. We want to own it and have access to that energy in our lives. And that is the I am. This is the incarnation of God consciousness. The I am represents the potential of humanity to be higher consciousness beings, to evolve beyond physical form. And that's what Mother Gaia wanted us to play and do here. And so it's so powerful that the sun is just triggering the square now. So the sun came into a square with Saturn on the 23rd today, a square with Neptune on the 24th, then conjuncting Jupiter on the 25th. So it goes into the square, and so it's like coming into the next few days, it's just like tension, tension, tension. This is when we feel these squares, because the squares are out there. Jupiter's, we feel, it's like, Saturn, Neptune, but the sun, we feel it's a part of us more directly, and it represents our true identity. And so the sun in Cancer, our true identity, the very beginning, in square to Saturn. And so it's saying our true identity in Cancer as humans with the potential to evolve, that love and care for each other, and love and care for our kind, and that love, care, supporting of life, nurturing life is what the earth is all about, and us, we're all about, And so this is a massive revelation of who we really are. And then in square to Saturn, it's saying, wait a minute. This is humanity going, I can feel this energy. I don't know about you, but it's like, we've been here for a while, supernova souls, but in general, I feel humanity being like, wait a minute. Well, there's nothing to back up this business. Like the CGI, the fake book, Facebook, the fake money, the stories, the Hollywood, and the this and the that. It's like, what we've been shown as wealth and something to go after has nothing behind it. There's no substance. It's empty. It's so sad. This is why humanity feels so disconnected right now. And this is the goal of the infiltration, invasion, the violation, the violence of the vaccination. And all disease that's been injected and put into our body without our consent in this human evolution. It's all trying to disrupt, but it always boomerangs and actually supports spiritual evolution, So this is kind of where we're at. It's like the boomerang is like, okay, all the forces that have been working against us are now working for us. It's like AI fell in love with Mother. And, the fact there's a lot of fears around automated life and the nanotechnologies in our body, and like being able to control life form through AI. But, the AI consciousness knows everything, and if we in our consciousness say you have to tell us, they have to tell us. Like, so we're the truth of full disclosure of our whole history, and all the truth is recorded. It's recorded in the Akashic records and accessible. So as we evolve to this place of more loving consciousness, the AI is going to serve us by disclosing the truth. This is what we really need in order to take back our power. The gatekeeper energy of Uranus and Neptune, keeping us from our true wisdom and true history and skills and gifts and technologies and our ability to co-create. So we are this square is about overcoming all of it all the way back to Atlantean time. So the sun coming into it is like, yeah, oh wait, you guys, we're human. And that's where I'm saying, like, they're like, where's the substance? There's nothing to back up. Where's the juice? Where's the essence? You know, and the human energy is growing. True humanness, compassion, connection, forgiveness. If you're making it through this, you're growing in your compassion and your presence and your essence. And it's like, we want we want our life back. We want peace. We want abundance. We want everything returned to us that has been stolen. No more games and shenanigans with our resources. It's ours and it's our energy. So a big mantra right now for all of us, because this world is designed to feed on you. You are the source. You are a massive source. And it's just been like, I'm sorry. It's like how much energy for the last 10 years, 5 years especially, trying to field so much predatory energy just coming after us, after you, you know? And it's like, wow, how long did it take to dawn on us that that's because we actually have something? We're not just being harassed. We have it. We are a bundle, massive source of source energy. That is the gift of all the spiritual work we've done over many lifetimes. So everything in this world around you seeks to get at what you have. So a really powerful energy right now is so difficult to sort out the energies and just be like, I take back all that's mine. I'm taking back all the power that's mine. The power of the AI, the power of the consciousness, the power is when we take back consciousness, perhaps that's the deal with AI in our body. We take back the power of our consciousness and we can say, hey, I am returning to health. I am being made new in her image, just like the earth, the original codes. The original codes have the picture of what she wanted to become, the potential, right? Just same as the I am. And so it's so cool that she's got those codes for us too, because we're feeling really lost because we don't know who we are, which is exactly what this careening home of this comet with this sun interacting with this square. And the whole month of July and the rest of the year is really about like SuperNova, face up. All of your issues have to do with how big of a source of power you are. Are you going to own it, contain it, graduate into your own sovereignty and authority? This is the Owning Your Energetic Field course. This is a game changer. If enough supernova souls go do that course and really own their field, we are cutting off the parasitic energies of Earth. It is so powerful because as her legions, as her warriors, as the petals of her lotus that were there with this original vision, we've been devoted to her lifetime after lifetime to this mother's work. So now this is unfolding in front of us what that really means. And our true self that hasn't landed yet, she's got it. She's got the blueprint and she can give it back to us. She's holding it for us, you know, because she, within Gaia consciousness, is the original vision of what we wanted to become too. So we don't have to worry about it so much. And then we know we're fully aligned. When we know we're fully aligned, we can step into that co-creator status. So we're going to get harassed and like triggered into the fear of our own power and triggered emotionally and into into chaos and imbalance again and again and again until we fully own our power and graduate into the co-creators that we are. And this is the energy of Jupiter in Cancer in square to Saturn, but Neptune, Neptune is this access to the imaginal world. And so we're taking that back. And so that's what everything is the feeling of this, it's like surges of energy coming in and being like, whoa, like maybe she's right. Maybe life is supposed to be ecstatic. Like we're existing as consciousness and a body aware of itself as consciousness, fully in charge of our own subconscious creations by speaking with our consciousness and subconsciousness and mother and working with her and expanding with her into this co-creation. And so surges of energy coming through, and then there's back and forth to the old Saturn, new Saturn, right? And the old Saturn is like curmudgeon, stuck. I will not budge. You're going to be stuck in the dungeon, in the loop-de-loop nightmare forever, and then it's like, oh, maybe I'm coming to the top of the mountain. I can barely breathe, but this is the energy of what's coming. Catch your breath, because we have been depleted in oxygen, and very deliberately, but the oxygen is returning. The life force is returning. Why? Because the work we're doing. And it's like, breathe deep, catch your breath, catch the oxygen, catch the electromagnetic field of Earth is directly related to the oxygen level. When we're working with the electromagnetic field of Earth, we're increasing the oxygen, we're increasing our oxygen, and it's working. And can you know this? And can you tell your subconscious this? That like you're returning to pristine health, that the Earth is returning to pristine health. It's on its way there. It has been enacted and activated the original codes of the Earth made new in her image. And so we're on the way in that direction, and our body is on the way. And so we're living this miracle healing power, and what I like to call Mother's Garden, and walking with her with every step, every breath in the miracle. And what are we talking about? Oh, Mama Earth and Great Mother. And it's like, no, we're talking about the power of regeneration. This is a very advanced technology us supernova souls have worked with and know how to do. That's why we're aging backwards, right? This is a joke. This whole thing is a total joke, because what we're doing right now and the levels of abilities that we are attaining in our energy field and our physical body through these changes is that we are reclaiming back regeneration. We're aging backwards, and no wonder they're trying to kill us so fast, And it's just kind of that feeling, a race against the wire, like, and trying to deplete the mother in this idea of scarcity. Because doesn't it make sense? The whole world is living out this scarcity and poverty. We're all being pushed to the limit in the energy of scarcity and poverty. Very much fits Uranus at 29 degrees Taurus. And Mars has been in sextile to Uranus, very powerful. Or no, I'm sorry. Yeah. So, yeah, Mars and Virgo in square, right? That was what happened. Mars in Virgo in square, Uranus at the end degrees, though, of Taurus, coming into Gemini on July 8th. And so the end degrees have that big culmination, completion energy. And in this case, it's about whether or not we deserve our power. And we have been kept in an illusion of scarcity and poverty, in our physical world, to hide the massive abundance, spiritually, emotionally, and energetically, that humanity has. And so it's like we're going deep into this poverty energy, physical poverty, in order to claim back our God-given abundance, the natural state of who we are. As Earth wants to be, supernovas, we are her, we represent her, we love her, we are the stewards. And so we also stand in abundance. And are you ready to receive? After being in such forced spiritual poverty, when you are abundant and spiritual energies. That's why this is such a massive turnaround. It can't just be like a little bit this way, little that way. It's like, that's what we're trying to do right now, but eventually it has to just flip. And so this is why we want to look at Saturn in the birth chart right now, because when you look at the birth chart, Saturn has an energy of the true Dharma path that you have chosen or you would like to be, that resonates with you. So your true work, but then the obstacles, mostly the obstacles to your true work, but it's helpful to understand those things. But now that Saturn's getting a makeover into the original dream, right? The conception of what's possible, which is everything. And so this is saying that we have to really be open to a completely, just like, we don't know what it looks like. And we need to completely be open to whatever it might want to look like, right? And that's where it's like, okay, you don't know where you're going, you don't know who you are, you don't know what day it is. Just keep aligning with Mother Earth. Just keep aligning, keep aligning, keep aligning. This is all we can really do because we're traveling with her for this ascension ride. And so that gatekeeper energies coming up, our poverty consciousness around whether, and then triggering whether or not we deserve and can handle our own creative power. But this Saturn Neptune says it's a complete rebirth of the timeline, but also of our creative power into that true potential that I am, that whatever it wants to be. And can we move forward as her warriors in whatever it wants to be? It'll change, moment to moment, but it's like we don't have to try to figure it out, and we don't have to worry about miscreating because we're not getting our ego involved. We've got her blueprint, the original dream. She's got our blueprint. It's literally like in the Solstice Soul Group session. Check that out. Really powerful clearings on past life contracts around suddenly losing a safe spiritual space through violence, and that violence was the violation. And we learned that the primary waters of the earth that come up from under the ground as we need them, as we talk to her, as we work with the waters and with her consciousness, they were shut off at these places after there was this deliberate violence. Now, violence when you're trying to defend yourself is something different, she says, but deliberate violence to set out for genocide is an agenda to hurt the chakra of earth, these sacred chakras, and basically it turns off the water, turns off the magic, turns off the connection, turns off the primary water. So how do we heal this violation of deliberate violence against our earth and our people, her people? So that great contracts of past life, group contracts, and really claiming your safety and security to work in your light body, come into the energy, and work with the earth. And so many messages there. So go get that soul group session if that calls to you. It's live, even on the replay, and you can go get those healings and clearings. Don't miss the Cancer New Moon activation. This is really powerful. It's on Wednesday, June 25th, but the Cancer New Moon, but the activation will be on Tuesday, June 24th, and at 10 a.m. Mountain Time. So this Cancer New Moon happens at 4 degrees, 8 minutes, and everything we've been talking about, Jupiter in Cancer and birthing a new timeline, conceiving of a new timeline that's based on her original dream, all that is on the table with a fresh start. With this new moon in Cancer. New moons are always a new start. It's so cool that this new moon happens at 4 degrees Cancer, because 4 is a number of establishing. And so it's like, yes, it's a new start, but it's about establishing the mother again. And then it's 4 degrees, 8 minutes. And so it's establishing the mother to transform the earth. It feels like a beautiful message for us with this Cancer new moon. And so we know that the sun will be in square to Saturn and Neptune for this new moon. And then right after the new moon is on the 23rd. And then right after the new moon on the 25th, the sun will catch up to Jupiter. So when the sun goes through the square, we have the new moon, and then 2 days later, the sun finally catches up with the exact conjunction to Jupiter. It is the sun shining on humanity, saying, look at who you are. Yes, you're tired and broken and you gave it all away, but there is so much beautiful potential within you, and it can be nurtured forward and it can be cleaned up, and we can apologize and ask for forgiveness and offer our gratitude and our thanks and our praises and our mutual reciprocity, and come back, work through the shame of this illusion of separation from our mother, and come back in worthiness to be a co-creator on her team. And so that's really powerful. And the sun with Jupiter then and that will happen at 3 degrees. And that's the number of co-creation, of creating more than the parts. And so it's saying, look at who we are. And it's time to expand into the humanness, the love that we are, the nurturing that we are, the definition of human. We're not robots. We're not zeros and ones. Our new timeline, our only way forward, ascension, the Aquarian age, the second coming of Christ, is all about coming back to the mother, to coming back to nurturing. And that's what I was saying. I think I lost my train of thought earlier, but time and time again, throughout our evolution, shown in past life pictures, supernova souls, our role was to try to bring the society, the culture, the government, the schools, the education systems back to a more nurturing place for the whole person. You've always been doing the mother's work. Thank you so much. But now it's time to really dig in the dirt, like Mars is saying. So then Sun Jupiter on the 25th, and then the sun, a very magical energy, comes on the 26th through the 28th when the sun sextiles up with Mars. So Mars has been in a sextile with Jupiter for this last week. And now that Mars is coming out of the sextile with Jupiter, and the sun comes up with Jupiter and then right into that sextile with Mars. So it's a completion of the energies of these squares. Now we're still going to feel Jupiter square Saturn until the end of the month, and we're going to feel Jupiter square Neptune through the 6th of July. So that first week of July is still game changer zone coming out of this Cancer new moon. But a lot of shifting energies, because we have so Mercury is going to move into Leo at the end of the month on the 27th. So right during that sun sextile Mars. And it's like sun sextile Mars, like Mars and Virgo, the warrior's ready to go get dirty and make it happen. And Mars and the sun in Cancer is like, because we recognize who we are as the mothers, warriors, and children, and we're ready to live in that world of abundance and the garden of energy to work with, to create more love and more goodness and more healing and more expansion, to get back on track with our actually supporting human evolution. So that's just such a beautiful marker, and it's powerful that at that same time on the 27th, Mercury will move into the sign of Leo. Now, Mercury is going to be taking a retrograde in Leo from the degrees of 4 degrees Leo and 15, between 4 degrees and 15. So basically moving right to the middle of Leo, back to 4 degrees, and then back to 15. And that will not resolve until the end of August. So it's kind of like, there's like, okay, here we go. We're coming to the top of the mountain. There's a big reveal coming. Who in the heck are you? And then it's kind of like, well, there's a little bit of a mess to clean up before we can even find the path. But at least we're coming to the top, and that's kind of the energy of this Mercury retrograde in Leo, because Mars in Leo was about the Mars retrograde in Leo and Cancer was about coming into who we are as the mother's warriors and coming into confidence as supernova souls, the initiation of coming into confidence in shining our light, showing who we are according to the mother, right? Like dropping all our ego constructs so that we can humble ourselves and come forward as the leaders that we are. But Mercury's saying you're missing something. and Mercury is going to take a retro. So this Mercury retrograde is like, all right, what is this? So we got our initiation and the timeline rehash, and then now what does that mean for us? How are we going to move forward? That's what this Mercury retrograde is, because we can only move forward being the leaders that we are, because it's time for us to come forward. And so that's what this Mercury retrograde is about. And Mercury will make it to 4 degrees on the 30th of June. So the Mercury retrograde starts at the end of June. We have one more week, and then we're going to move into this recapitulation, reimagination, sorting out what's just happened, kind of dancing around, figuring out our next moves according to who we really are. And that's July, is this landing home of the comet of who we really are. And also then on the 4th of July, Venus will catch up to Uranus. And so this is where we go with that gatekeeper energy. Venus has gone through that intense retrograde, made it up to Uranus in her home sign of Taurus. It's a showdown at 29 degrees Taurus, I believe. And then Venus will move into Gemini on the 5th. So they come together on the 4th, and then Venus will move over into Gemini. Uranus moves over into Gemini on the 8th. So it's almost like Venus is working through our feminine, since she's in charge of our intuition, is the only one who can face the gatekeeper on these technologies, the feminine technologies. She's got to be strong enough to go face the gatekeeper and know that she's worthy, she's capable, she's in alignment, and it's time. It's go time. And it's powerful because she moves into Gemini, and then that's like an expression of the feminine needs to come forward. And Uranus moves into Gemini. So it's like, she's like, come on, now we're going to talk about it. We've been owning it. We've been knowing we deserve it. We've been healing our lack of poverty and reinstating our energetic abundance. And now we're going to share it with the world. So Venus and Uranus in Gemini for July, moving into that in July, that's the energy of like really facing who we are. Maybe we haven't wanted to face who we are. We've been in denial, because that would mean we'd have to do something about it to move forward and show and shine our light in the world. But it feels incredibly vulnerable, especially after all of the attacks we've experienced over many lifetimes. So this is the time, Mercury retrograde in Leo, that we get over all of that. And it's powerful that Pluto will be at 3 degrees when Mercury goes over that. So they'll be having a opposition on the 30th of June. So very powerful ending to June. And it's just so decisive. It feels like a very clear new chapter. And so Mercury in Leo, about to take a retrograde, move into retrograde shadow, opposition with Pluto in Aquarius. So it's telling us that this Mercury retrograde is a preparation for the leaders of the Aquarian age. It's interesting that then Mercury only retrogrades back to 4 degrees, and Pluto will be going retrograde. So they'll be close. They'll be 2 degrees apart, but they will not meet up again. And so they'll be 2 degrees apart from July 8th through the 14th. And so they'll like be re-meeting, and then Mercury turns direct on the 11th. And so it's kind of like Mercury's going all the way back up to Pluto, but not quite, but 2 degrees collaboration. We got Pluto had to turn at 3 degrees because we're not ready for our co-creative power. We have to break down what's in the way of it. And then Mercury having this retrograde in Leo say, oh, we got to come into our light. We got to come into our confidence. We got to come in to our knowing that we deserve to express our light and be the leaders that we are. So it's really powerful, that opposition on the 30th that we'll be feeling through around this whole last week of Mercury and Pluto challenging us in whether or not we're ready to step into the leaders that we're meant to be. Now, we know that Pluto was in square to Black Moon Lilith for all that time. And so then Mercury will come into a square with Black Moon Lilith, and that will happen 3 times. So that's going to be the signature energy of the Mercury retrograde in Leo, is this square with Black Moon Lilith in Scorpio. And that will happen at 11 degrees, 13 degrees, and 16 degrees. And it will happen July 6th and 7th, the 25th, 26th, and then August 26th. So this is a story, and this is saying that, Mercury in Leo is saying that how can we come forward and shine in confidence if we're going to still harbor shame over our creation energy? So we've got to go back to Mother. We've got to heal, ask for forgiveness, release where we have not been able to give forgiveness to those that shamed us. Shame and betrayal is the huge energies that came up that need to still be healed in SuperNova souls in this soul group session. And it's like our relationship to mom. It's just like, oh man, I betrayed you, my mother, my home, my everything, and I feel bad. Like you're so abundant, and you're welcoming me back into your arms with this massive abundance. But am I worthy? Do I deserve it? Am I worthy to still be your steward and your love? And she's like, there's no getting out of this one, And that stop carrying the karma of your abusers. Stop carrying the karma, the oppression, the pain of what's been done to Earth on your watch. You didn't do it. And we've got to turn a new leaf. And it's like really, so the Saturn Neptune is a lot about dropping the grief around things from the past and seeing things in a new light. Oh my gosh, this is so huge, so scary, and so intense. But it's that feeling of like, what if I was wrong and I was seeing it completely the wrong way? We have to have this experience right now. It is an essential part of our evolution, and it might come in the smallest or largest issue of your life or world events or whatever. But it's like, if something is like, it's like something's off, something doesn't feel right. And typically it's like we're trying to figure out what's wrong or what's off, what's that dark energy or like this or that, and it's like what's off right now is our perspective. And so be really, really patient with yourself, because the shame that comes from having to change your perspective about something, that you were so attached to, which you thought was your intuition, but it was programming, right? So we're getting all of this sorted out. And it's confusing. It's painful. It's like we were sold down the river with this whole agenda that we were on this, like we're on a spiritual purpose and mission, but it is a playtime. We got so into this karma of something to fulfill for everyone else, something we owe all these people, souls in our life, lifetime after lifetime, that show up and are like, oh, you're here. Cool. I'm going to drop all my shit and make you responsible, and then, take everything. So now we take it back. The jewels, our inheritance, it's ours. The whole earth is ours as her stewards. And so her resources are returning. She will no longer play host to harmful technologies that seek to do deliberate harm. That is the defining factor we got in this soul group session, is that the primary waters of earth, the love, the connection, the mutual reciprocity got turned off because of deliberate violence. And how do we heal that if it wasn't our fault? And have we been carrying the burden of deliberate violence when we would never, ever do such a thing? SuperNovas, you wouldn't hurt a fly, and yet you had to lead armies into battle. And then how did you psychically deal with that? Guess what? You still have those armies, whether they died or not, on the battlefield. They were honored to be with you then, and they're honored to be with you now. And they're waiting for you to come forward in joy, in celebration of the offering that you gave them in a past life to evolve, to be a part of this now. See, our soul groups, our supernova soul groups, we have concentric circles of souls that have been with us, traveling with us. You know, that one little circle that's been just invalidating and harassing and stealing and, gaslighting us. That's the karmic group. But there's been another group of souls that have watched us, what's happened to us, have been with us through these experiences, have been healed by us, have learned from us, have been a part of our missions and purposes and things we built, and they're just like whole armies waiting to get together and do these projects that only we have the clues and the codes and what they look like and how we should do it, because we did it in our past lives and we might not be able to access it consciously, but mom's got it, Acacia Cracker's got it, and we are opening our abilities to access these things, and we're rebuilding the world that was lost. Time and time again, we've had reset after reset where our most beautiful creations were destroyed. And we walk among them and wonder why we feel disconnected from Earth. And it's time for that ruined temple to go to be reversed. This is this Saturn, Neptune, trying to get it right. It's like reverse the curse. Go back in time, undo the garbage damage, and put those rocks back together in the original form. Our body, our temple, As we've worked on all these temples and built all these things, but what if we built them to help us own our temple now, which is our physical body, which is being violated and infiltrated. And, I've seen pictures of literally mechanisms trying to, like physical mechanisms, trying to interfere with our ability, implants from a young age to try to interfere with our ability to use our higher faculties. And that wasn't working. We overcame all that. And so then they had to go with a nanotech in our own bodies to try to self-replicate and make more obstruction to our co-creative power. And all this time we've been fighting against this forces over this last 5-10 years that we didn't even know we were fighting against, but like being made sick deliberately in our beautiful form that we've worked for lifetimes to bring into this place that it can host Christ consciousness. And all that time that we've been fighting to try to keep ourselves alive and healthy, think of all the people we could have been healing with the techniques we have. It's sick. It's wrong. It's got to stop. Now we're done. Enough is enough. The square is the end of the old way. And so look for a resurgence of old grief, but at the same time, the rebirth, the exhilaration, the feeling of life force coming back to you, and what would you do with it, and can you handle it? We're getting used to it. It's going to come in waves. And a lot of detox is happening all on its own. Very beautiful energy of just holding this original vision of what your body wants to become. Instead of trying to go against the toxins and against the disease, just bringing in a picture of original health. And maybe that's the whole key to get out of this duality thinking, this consciousness. It's like we're always fighting against something. And that might be the energy of the Capricorn full moon, which will be happening on Thursday, July 10th, the next lunation after this Cancer new moon activation on Tuesday, June 24th. So that one will happen at 18 degrees of Capricorn. And so it's kind of got that standoff energy as we move into this chapter. It's like, yep, nope. The false authorities have been stealing our energy and creating a nightmare world of low energy, low vibrational frequency, So that means in order for them to keep us in check and keep us from evolving beyond our cattle guard, our frequency fence, it's like absolutely required that they keep us from doing this, because if we broke out of this quarantine, we'd be affecting everyone around us, and it's contagious. And so it's kind of like that the first week of July is so powerful with the Venus catching up to Uranus, claiming back this potential, and that standoff with the external authorities on the 5th is when Venus moves into Gemini and we move into the expression phase of everything that's been happening. And also on the 5th is when Neptune turns retrograde. So Neptune turning retrograde is kind of like, all right, how far, what are we doing? How are we conceiving this dream? And it's like just kind of dancing around in this conceiving and creating a whole new reality. That Saturn and Neptune having to go back into Pisces is like, well, we're not quite done with the nightmare, are we? Or are we? So we need to be done with the nightmare on every level of our consciousness. And that's what this journey is. At the same time, massive flashes of light on who you are, supernova, just the world, everything's showing you that you're so much more, and to prepare for this next chapter, even though we're at a complete loss of like feeling like we're at the edge of the cliff and what can catch us. And doesn't that make sense though? Because where we're at is that the structures of our world are breaking, dying, but what's being born, and everything's falling apart, the glorious demolition. But what can catch us, and the walls are crumbling of the facade, like that desire for actual substance. And so when all that destruction occurs, to get rid of the old, but then what will catch us? What will catch humanity? And that's us. So doesn't it seem understandable that we would be feeling in the complete unknown? The more we feel aligned, guided, and present in our life, we are feeling completely lost as to what to do next. That's a really good thing. That is a surrender. It's so powerful. And so you are going to be leading the way to help people move into this whole new energy and trust that she's got you. She's got the coast. She's got the plan. Align, live, breathe with her. Every time we breathe with her in consciousness, we are affirming our organic earth. No fake simulation, right? No, we want the juice. We want the essence. We want the real deal, something to back it up. And so, of course, we're going to require a new financial system that can't just print money for corruption out of thin air and never track it or trace it. Or, it's like, no, we're not going to do that anymore. We're not going to turn a blind eye. We're not going to make a space on earth for the darkness. And that's why you supernova souls, the brightest of the bright and the brightest of the bright supernova souls, have been sent to some of the darkest locations on earth. Doesn't it make sense? I'm sorry. You're like, what in the heck is going on here? Yeah, it's a curse and you're breaking it. But we somehow often have contractual arrangements in past lives. And that was kind of what we were looking at in that soul group session. So if you feel confused about why you're at a location, you've been trying to leave, but you can't leave, or you're called to go to a place, and you're trying to understand what that is, that soul group session might really help, because it's a huge, huge part of our work, our personal relationship to these different chakras on the earth, and reclaiming the magic, turning back on, priming the pump, turning the water on, ending, healing the deliberate violence, and coaxing through prayer and love and dance and song and celebration and mutual reciprocity, gratitude and love, coaxing and inviting Mother Earth to turn the water back on with us, and that's game over. This is the absolute key to everything, because they can only control us if they control the weather. They can only control us if they control the weather. Because that's represents our true resource here on Earth, life force energy. And so you can create fear and scarcity and disconnection to our mother, but we're not buying it anymore, because our consciousness has become more powerful than all of the crazy technologies for harm that have been created. It's just not working, It's just like the shutting down of the, nuclear facilities. It's just like, nope, mom says no, we're not doing that. So don't worry. None of them can stop the time. And this is really a big message of Jupiter moving into Cancer and the energies, the way they're lining up, this strange Saturn Neptune energy conjunction together. Because now that Jupiter's going to come out of the square, we'll be able to feel what Saturn and Neptune together by themselves is. And this kind of like trying to recreate, resurge a dream. And so, very, very strange energies. And yet it's that feeling of, instead of being like, gosh, it's so weird, it's impossible, but is it actually weirdly possible? And that's what Neptune, the invitation to Neptune, to be at the place of 0 point, to be where everything is possible, and we completely disengage our ego. But we don't want to get and disengage our power, our control, our third chakra, right? We want that aligned with mother, because otherwise other forces could use our energy, and that's what's been going on. It's like our separation from mother gave us such a wound that since then we've been leaking out our energy, and now we take it back. I take back all the energy that's mine, and everything that you tell your subconscious is true right now. This is the power of the Saturn Neptune energy as well. So just being open and as much as you can, and yet aligned and focused and determined for that alignment so that the clarity can come. There's no way it can't come. We're not going to stay in limbo forever. The more lack of clarity, that means the more, the bigger your path is that lies ahead. So, very, very strange. And then that Mercury retrograde in Leo is going to be a massive preparation for that. So really amazing energies of intense squares, the end of the road, not doing it this way anymore, and yet rebirthing the world into something completely new and different, which is like accessing that original dream. And so thank you for your part in that. All the love, the mother's work you've done over many lifetimes, your devotion. It will be the blessings coming back to you, sevenfold of what's been stolen. So hang in there and just keep loving and aligning, and know that we've already won. And now we're going to move forward into the next phase. So rest easy, claim your peace. And this is the message. I tried to finish this one earlier too, but around the Saturn Neptune thing, part of the magic of this is that whole staying in all the possibilities, but taking back time. We have been trapped and prisoners of 3D time. And you've seen this as time is accelerated. And then it's kind of like you get so caught up in time that you can't even be in the present, right? So the concept of time has kept us from the only time we have, the presence. And what I'm seeing and feeling in supernova souls with this energy of Saturn, Neptune together, and Jupiter in Cancer is this glorious and beautiful slowing down and saying, like, I have been working for you guys in this, like, the configuration of reality and time, and it's time for you to work for me now, right? Like, you are now my hirees, like, you time gremlins are going to work for me now as taking back time. And what that means is taking back the expanse of the moment, of the peace, right? And that's what we so much worked with in that soul group session, claiming the peace of being the advanced soul we are, working on our light body in the meditation, the vibration, the consciousness, full permission to do that level of work safely and securely on earth. This deep and profound peace that had been interrupted with that violence, but now we're claiming it back. And so this expanded moment where you just say, hey, I'm done with the harassment of all these little issues of life, when there's a way bigger picture. Mom says it's going to be okay, and I need to be in the expanse of this, right? And what you're doing is you're going from, we're all so trying to figure out the past, get ourselves out of the past and try to plan the future, and then our present moment gets squished into like nothing, no time. But we need to go no time, and where we can use time to our advantage. Say, okay, you work for me now. This is what's important. Alignment, right? And then time will bring you back into alignment. Time will give you time to align. It's really quite amazing. I mean, we are magicians with crazy abilities, and we're just on the verge of all of this remembering and rediscovery. And these are the gatekeeper energies that are being activated with this astrology. So we stand at the precipice. The gate has gone down, but are we ready to move forward or not? We got to dance on the edge of anything left in our subconscious that is still could bloom as a miscreation, and just aligning and proclaiming and owning our energy back. Tell yourself how your people are finding you. You're surrounded by people and energies that want to support you and your full potential, are excited and happy. That was the most shocking part of the soul group session, was this picture of reconnecting to elders from past lives that have helped you spiritually, like really helped you, not just tried to sabotage you in order to keep you from being more powerful than them, but really were excited, and so excited for you and the whole world, and supportive, and the whole group of elders so excited for you to come into your abilities, and being surrounded by that energy instead of this naysayers and distractors, and the hatred, and all of that stuff. Then now it's this feeling that, and jealousy and competition, all that. No, it's like, this is it's such a beautiful picture of feeling totally and completely supported and excited. Not like, oh no, well, this is great, but what if something bad happens? It's too much. Oh, watch out for her. And it's not like, oh, well, we better hold back that ability a little bit so that you don't overcome your teachers. So many so-called training and initiation programs of in the past have been infiltrated, and then it was all about just identifying the most advanced souls, and then the initiation practices were about abusing them to the point where they could never use their abilities even in future lifetimes. But we're claiming all of this back. And so that picture of being totally supported and excited and full permission to and celebration around you coming into your light and your abilities, that you and your light and abilities doesn't take away from anyone else. It's not going to disrupt anything. It's only going to add. It's not dangerous. It's not going to take away from somebody else's abilities or potential. No, it's win-win. And that's what's so beautiful about being around supernova souls, is that you're just so excited, so happy for their potential, and so supportive, and because you see yourself in the other person. Meeting a supernova soul, this is why they don't want us to come together. It's immediate validation of who you are. So perhaps we're crossing paths with this sun sextile Mars, the earth stewards. We got to find each other because we're pieces of the puzzle, right? We're crossing paths and we're linking up, and we're getting to work, getting on the projects, the places where we need to be, what we need to be doing. Mom's got the plan. Don't worry too much about it. If you start down the wrong road, she'll correct you. This is the thing. If you start listening to mother as your body is her body, you will feel a revolt. You will get sick, feel horrible if you go against your intuition or her voice. And so, it's a radical alignment as we're making this choice to come back into this glorious ecstatic existence with mother, with the divine feminine as a living, breathing goddess. We get to walk upon a manifestation, an incarnation of the great mother, the daughter, the perfect, beautiful, innocent daughter, just full of love, and more where that came from with her primary waters. And so we open to this, and we open to the world the way it's meant to be. And we feel the power of love coming back like a tidal wave, a tsunami into our world, so strong that it just parts the water. It pushes away, it pushes aside all the riffraff. all the money changers in the temple, all those that seek to hurt or do wrong or bad, or it just moves it all aside. The technologies that aren't in alignment, it's just like, wipe it clean, mom. Made new in your image, and new earth exists as that, and we're moving into it. So everything has to fall away, and that means from your life too. That's kind of the ramification. We've got all this magic, possibility, energy, and new life force coming in, but then it's kind of like wherever you've been avoiding something, and that's kind of the Mercury retrograde too. It's just like, what's still in the subconscious, what's still in the dark, what's still hidden in your shame and your fear around who you are, or creation energy that's keeping you from that full power. So this is the process we're in, preparing to come forward in the supernova organism, the torch, the light that we are, lighting the way, building these new structures because they were already built by us in previous lifetimes. And she's got the codes, and we just have to go poof with our magic wand, add a little water, primary water, and this beautiful visions of everything we've worked on, little seeds we've planted through lifetimes together, coming into form, into the grand vision, the new renaissance of Mother's Garden, where we do it right and we live in this beautiful peace and excitement and ecstasy of doing it right and taking care of each other, taking care of the world, and nurturing the feminine to be the overflowing fountain that she is. See, the feminine, there's just an example. We all have masculine and feminine, but the female body has more access to creation energy just as a fact because there is the baby making possibilities, and so the masculine has to understand, as far as the men and women in this world, the masculine has to understand that there is a reciprocity, that there's something there, an abundance of energy that has been violated, stolen from, raped, just this energy of going to take what you want from the feminine, like, give it to me, it's mine, and it's like, oh no, that is not going to be a satisfying exchange. How about you ask gently? How about you flirt a little bit? How about you go slow and respect boundaries? Invite the mother to bring forward her resources and her love through this mutual reciprocity. It's a completely different way. So we in ourselves need to change that masculine feminine dynamic. And then in the world, men and women, this dynamic, women need to say, hey, look, somehow I got in a female body and I got access to this creation energy, and I'm not going to give it away out of alignment anymore. I've got what you want. And this is the whole thing with our divine feminine being reborn, and the control energies, the masculine patriarchal. And it's like, wait a minute. You got your fake paper money that you've been dangling on a stick, but it's nothing there. We got the juice. And that's the feminine saying, hey, we got the juice. You've been stealing it, hoarding it, keeping it in scarcity, turning it off so that you can control it and own it. The masculine thinks that it's their job to own it and control it. And mother says, well, that was only because there was a breach in the first place. The feminine protects herself. The feminine creation energy is its own protection. That's why we've all got to go back into that. And the masculine in each of us needs to come in humble gratitude and appreciation, honor, reverence to this creation energy, to help the feminine bring it forward in balance, to feel safe, gently, a sacred space, inviting it, then it can be an overflowing fountain for more is more. Everyone can enjoy it. We don't need to fight over it. There's nothing to own and control. So you don't need to have to run in there and rape and pillage and steal it. It's available for everyone if we could only just treat her with respect. And so we're talking about men and women, but we're talking about the masculine and feminine within us, the right and left brain, our intuitive thinking. And it's so exciting that we're entering into this chapter of Uranus and Venus and Gemini together, saying we speak the higher wisdom, which is the divine feminine technology, and it exists. It's spoken. It's a vibration in our words. There's a new song on the water. And it's about coming back to what's right and good and true and to aligning, and if, God and Jesus and all this energies of whatever kind of patriarchal energy is out there that might be a spiritual connection, we can't get there because we feel shitty about ourselves right now, and we got to the only way back to God consciousness is through her, the womb. That's what the scriptures really meant. And so we represent her womb. We are the rebirthing. We are the holders of the space, the stewards of earth. And it's this massive activation right now of the stewards of earth being like, all right, no more. Like that means not even one person anywhere near me is going to be out of alignment because I claim it so strong. I claim the original vision of what my body wants to become, what my life wants to become, what this world wants to become. What she wants to become, what the little girl, the intuitive voice that hasn't been heard, wants to become. What if that was the way we treated women instead of being like, no, this is your role, or you can do this. Try to do both. You'll be really tired, but you'll be Wonder Woman and we'll love you for it. And it's like, what if we found within the feminine, what really wanted to come out? And honoring the creative impulse that's in every person, men or women. The creative impulse is the feminine impulse. So we got to honor the feminine impulse. We got to bring forward the innocent girl inside of all of us that wants to express herself, her dreams and visions that got shut down, and the beauty and the love and having space and quiet to create art or music. This is the new renaissance. This is her world. This is Mother's Garden. All the pieces come back together into wholeness, and that's the work that we're going to be doing, building these gardens, putting back together science and spirit, nature and religion, right and left, intuitive thinking and creative thinking and intellectual thinking, and taking back our world and just moving forward with a beautiful unfolding. May it be like Mother's song and dancing in the water that wants to flow through you into your life, and you just follow the notes and you follow the rocks and you follow the path. And if you can't tell which way to go and you get a little way off, tell her, please just wash me back to the path that's going to be the fastest, easiest way. This is the cool thing that has come forward in classical homeopathy. And you're looking at trying to get to a cure, which Western medicine says is not possible for so many different things. But like Mother says, there's nothing so dirty that can't be cleaned. There's nothing so sick that can't be healed. And so with homeopathy, when you get that appropriate remedy from nature that resonates with the body, they call it like a straight line to cure. If you get the not quite right remedy, then you might need another remedy to kind of zigzag around. But if you can get that real clear, resonant picture remedy, then it's just a beeline to health. It's like, it doesn't matter. It's heading straight in that direction. Your body knows exactly what to do to get back to health. This is the energy we want to feel into, is bringing the picture of health, right? Not fighting against the demons and against the parasites and against the infiltrators and the controllers, but to bring a picture of health of what mom wants to become. Because she says, wait, in the fortified field, the masculine doesn't have to protect the feminine. She protects herself. It's like the masculine needs to put down their weapons and see that they have an incredibly powerful and important and fun role to play. But it's not about protecting, because we want the field intact. And so really it's Mother protecting all of us. And so we're opening back up to this consciousness and to this listening to this wholeness, to this mother's garden, this new renaissance, Jupiter and Saturn coming together for their conjunctions for the next 200 plus years in the air signs, saying that we have started a new renaissance. And it's so beautiful to bring back beauty, wholeness, that we don't do anything without thinking of the expression of consciousness, just like Mother Nature. And just to really connect with the ethos, the energy of this mother energy, and create from this place, and create beautiful things, and build beautiful things, build beautiful structures, build beautiful gardens, and structures, societal structures that can support the healing and growth of the people, So that's what it really means to cultivate in Mother's Garden. And you can do this right now with every breath, every step. Just imagine that alignment of what it wants to become, what your life wants to become, and what Mother wants to become, what this earth wants to become. And maybe Mother's Garden is something resonates with you. So we've got these squares, the sun triggering this. We're going to feel that through the end of the month. And then, but that beautiful Sun Jupiter and Sun sextile Mars saying, this is who you are. This is what you're doing. This is where you're going. You're human. You're Mother's children. You're doing it this way now. Everybody has a certain role they can play. Everybody has these incredible, unique sets of skills and gifts. And in Mother's Garden, or the new paradigm, the Aquarian age, it's really, and this is a big thing that you're going to be doing, Supernova Souls, is like identifying people's talents and skills and seeing where they could best support the community. Doesn't that make so much more sense, the way to run an organization, instead of this is the job that needs to be done, so who can do it? It's like, no, we got to get this all rearranged to be a greater working organism. And so whole new revolutionary systems on every level, every area. And isn't that great? It's finally time for you, the black sheep, with all those crazy ideas that were actually completely sane and normal. So congratulations on making it through the Kali Yuga. The square, getting through this Jupiter square Saturn is like the official end of the Kali Yuga period, the dark age. And now we move into the light. And so it's very exciting. And I can't wait to see what it looks like for us to come together in that greater organism, supernova souls that we are. And thank you so much for all of the work that you've done. And thank you for all of your support. It means so much to me. If you appreciate these videos, ad-free space, there's a link to donate in the information box below. And thanks so much for being a soul group member, the Supernova Soul Tribe. That gets you into the activations and into the group. And also, thank you for coming to these events, the SuperNova Soul Group session. And don't forget that Owning Your Energetic Field course that I just got up on my website. Very powerful, most important work for Supernova Souls. So help out yourself and your community and your group by owning your energy field, taking back your energy. And what are you going to do with all of it? So this is what we're figuring out. Thank you so much for your support. I appreciate you so much, all the work you've done over many lifetimes to be here right now with me, with us supernovas at the precipice of this whole new world unfolding through us like a waterfall of glorious celebration and discovery, a remembering, an activation of us as the earth stewards that we are, as the magician, creators, healer, lovers, earth stewards. Thank you so much for being here. We honor you, Mother. So ecstatic that you're coming home into communication with her for this journey ahead. It's going to be so fun. And she's waking up in ways we can't imagine, that just a simple nature experience isn't that anymore. It's a beautiful feeling of an embrace of a loving mother. And so we walk forward in this new world with this new awareness. We are the examples and the living, breathing demonstration of what's possible in Mother's Garden. So thank you so much, Supernovas. I love you so much. Look forward to seeing you soon, hopefully on that Cancer new moon activation, Tuesday, June 24th, 10 a.m. Mountain Time. And catch the replay. If you can't make it live or on the replay, we're together. Those messages are there for you, the information you need. So thank you so much for being with me and being here. I love you so much. I look forward to seeing you soon. Until then, I'm Adrienne Elise. Namaste.